Hello, friends. A couple weeks ago, I did an actual YouTube live uh, broadcast where I took all my Beatle books and just talked about them, what I have as a collection. Uh, there's many hundreds of Beatle books, and if you count up all the individual biographies, it's just amazing. And I got most of these from going to the Fest for the Beatles fans, New Jersey, New York. They're still doing them, but they have a marketplace where you can get all sorts of Beatles CDs, albums, um, and many, many books. That's where I got most of these. Not all. This one I did. This was when Norman Smith was a guest. Who's Norman Smith? He was the original engineer for the Beatles from their very first album to all the way up to Rubber Soul, including Rubber Soul. And it's called John Lennon Called Me Normal. His name is Norman. And of course, John Lennon, that's a John Lennonism. Norman Smith. And it says Hurricane Smith because after he was done with his engineering, and he engineered the Beatles, and after that, the first couple albums, I'm guessing, of Pink Floyd. But Hurricane, after he was done all of that, he wanted to become a singing star. So he did. He sang a song called "Oh Babe, What Can You Say?" International hit. Who would have known? The man that got the sound that changed the world. What he wanted to do was somehow translate the excitement of the Beatles playing live and get it on record, even though it wasn't live in front of an audience. But he wanted to translate somehow that excitement into the LPs. And you'd have to say he did. Those early albums started them on their way. They were revolutionary, even though half the songs were covers. But what covers they were. They were exciting. They had an exciting sound that we hadn't heard before, and you have to give this man a lot of credit. How is this book to read? It's a slog. He's not a gifted writer, sort of all over the place. I tried it once, gave up, finally went back and read the whole thing. And there's about half of it is the Beatles. The other half is all the other artists that he was involved with before the Beatles. Okay. These are all John Lennon books. This is Ray Coleman. I forgot to do this one too. If I can figure it out, I'll put a little link to the big reveal of all the Beatles Beatles books that I reviewed briefly. This is Ray Coleman's Lennon. Love Ray Coleman. One of the best books I ever read was Ray Coleman's The Carpenters. Unbelievable. You'd think it would be sort of dull. It was anything but dull. I read it. That was one of those books that was so good I read it twice. This is really huge with lots of pictures in here for a paperback. This is around 1984. Pages are turning yellow. It's a great read. It's a great read. very complete. And if you haven't gotten enough John Lennon from that, here's the Philip Norman John Lennon. Is this detailed? Yeah, I think so. It's huge, with many, many pictures, very early pictures, when John was just a little boy, with Julia. He's very early over here. I'm going to get the glare out of John and a skiffle group on that like hay wagon where he first met Paul. Many, many pictures, very detailed. I can't remember the details of this compared to this because I read them many years ago, but they're both good. I think that Ray brought out a new version, like the biography or something, with a different cover in the 80s, or in the early 90s, rather. So I can't speak to that one, but this one was very good. John by Cynthia Lennon. So if you want to know all about that era, and it went on for years, he met her in art school. And she's a good writer, and she has many pictures here. She was an artist in her own right and a photographer in her own right. The extraordinary story of a man, a legend, and a marriage. And you have to really feel for that famous story when she was away for a while, came home and finds John in bed with Yoko. It's shocking, when you think about it, but it happened. So forward by Julian Lennon. So I enjoyed this one. And that is, unless I find something hidden away, those are all the Beatles books that I have. Again, it's a small smattering of all the Beatles and Beatles-related books that are out there. So, thanks for watching.